So the class is being recorded as usual, and this is me again, Dr. Sameh, and this is EA 300, me, Children's Literature 2, or Part 2 rather. So it's Tom's Midnight Garden that we're doing, a very interesting and a very engaging piece of work. A novel, if you ask me, because it has all the requirements of a novel in terms of structure, in terms of having like a beginning, you have developments of events, you have peaks and climaxes, and then you have a closure. Don't we have a closure? What do you think? Do we have a closure or not? I'm asking you if you can hear me. Can you hear me at all?
Yes, doctor, we
Yes,
can.
yes.
Yes, okay. So what was the closure? What happened at the end?
I believe that there is no clear closure. Maybe the writer just want us to choose the closure that we want, but I don't know if we consider the conversation between the boy and Mrs. What's her name? I forgot.
Mrs.
Portmillo. I
from
forgot.
I used to say it very well. I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
Mrs.
maybe this conversation, maybe we can consider it as a closure because
Hmm.
the boy just he recognized that there is a big difference between uh, the character that he meet and his
Yes.
just realized that it's just only a ghost. Maybe this is a kind of closure. Maybe we can consider it a closure.
Yeah. Yeah. If we have like, I mean, the idea. Remember, we said that he is now perhaps more mature on the growth level of things. He grew even beyond recognition. He got through so many things. Can I ask you to mute your mic, معلش يا ديالا? So
No,
this is
that
the kind of he
it's
came
not.
to the realization. Okay. So and that can be a closure, not on the formal level, but perhaps on the abstract and on the psychological level. The fact that he comes to terms with so many things, and one of them would be that he cannot live in a dream or a fantastic world. He has to come down to earth at one point and realize that there are things in you cannot achieve obviously everything in the world. We're limited, um, and it's time is linear at the end. So it's true that he has those flights of fantasy. He went back to the past and then came back, and this is all well and good, but at one point he has to come to terms with the fact that um, uh, time progresses in a linear manner, and today we're young, tomorrow we're not as young, and eventually we all know what will happen at the end. It's like a journey, and it has a definite uh, kind of destination and everything. So this is the closure that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a closure in the formal sense of the word. I'm not talking about a closure in a traditional sense where everybody's happy, people get married perhaps, and they live happily ever after. This is not what I meant by a closure. Okay, so again, it's Tom's Midnight Garden. Like I said, it is fantastic in the different senses of the word. Fantastic in the sense that it is amazing and fascinating, and fantastic in the sense that we have fantasy. I mean, the world that is being created for us as readers is a world of fantasy where you have to suspend your disbelief so that you can savor and enjoy it and appreciate every aspect of it. So it's a world of dreams, if you like. It's a world where the impossible becomes possible. The idea we don't have yet a machine that can take us back to the past, but in the novel we see this happening, and for long stretches of time. So how is the experience with the Tom's Midnight Garden? Everyone, those who have read the novel, those who are halfway through, those who perhaps watched a movie because it has been adapted to the cinema a number of times. If you have watched it, raise your hand. Those who have watched the movie, what does it take? It takes like Googling the title and you come up with different cinematic possibilities for it. So have you done that? So Ines uh, Bishr have seen it or have watched it or has, I'm sorry. Who else? Zahra also watched it. Okay. So how I'm talking about the correspondence between the novel and the adaptation of the novel. So that would take a person who did both, watched the movie and read the novel. Zahra, did you read the novel? Zahra, can you hear us? Ah, yes. Okay. But you did watch the movie, right? Okay. So how similar they are? And then obviously, in a movie, you have different creators. You have the author himself, and you also have the director who comes with his own vision, his or her own vision. So how do they correspond? Do you think that the director is taking liberties with the text? I didn't notice what you wrote here, Zahra. Let me go and check. Okay. So Zahra is saying that perhaps the novel is more detailed than the movie itself. Okay. So who else watched? And we also said Ines. Let's focus on people who have read the novel because obviously this is. Aya, you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
No, doctor, I watched the movie only.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Zahra, are you still raising your hand because you want to say something or you forgot it raised? Okay, nice. So let's move to those who have read the novel or perhaps part of it, people who are perhaps halfway through. So if you're reading the novel, raise your hand. Okay. So anybody else? So it's only Zahra that is reading the novel. Yeah, and not even a promise of reading the novel. Mariam is also saying that she's reading the novel. One more, somebody that yeah, Zahra, Mariam, and Diala.
What about
And
summary, sir? Summary of the novel, not
um, uh,
analysis.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it can be unfair. It can be unfair to the novelist
Yeah, yeah.
if we come that far and we're still reading summaries because a summary does not capture the essence of a novel.
Still, yeah.
Novels, a creative piece of work is not about detail, is not about facts, for example, or pieces of information and data. It's about enjoying how it is written, and this is normally lost in summaries. You cannot have this. So I would wish that people read novels and not depend entirely on summaries unless we're focused on exams, and this is not the best approach. I mean, you can achieve that. You can prepare for exams by also reading the original text. So Mariam is raising her hand. I don't know whether she wants to tell us that she is reading a novel or she perhaps has something else on her mind. Mariam, would you
Uh,
like to say? Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just saying that I'm halfway through it.
Nice. Thank you,
Yeah,
Mariam.
go
Oh,
ahead,
yeah,
Mohammed.
go on. Go on. Yes. Okay. So how is the experience? Shaza also said that she is also reading the novel. So how is the experience? Are you enjoying it? Or you think that this is perhaps we're past it because we're now not children anymore, and the idea of having a magical garden that take us all the way back to the past is not very realistic, and so what do you think of that? Do you think that the idea that the novel is rooted in fantasy is not very appealing? Let's talk about that. Let's go to Shaza and then come back to Mariam. Shaza, because you're
Yes,
raising your
doctor.
hand. Okay, so
Yes,
you said that you're halfway through, or perhaps you finished it, right?
yes, doctor. It's really fantasy, the novel. Um, that in the story, Tom is sent to stay with uncle. So and until a while, his brother recovers from the measles,
I
and
mean,
he
and
can.
are you retelling us the story? Because this was not my question. My question is whether you are enjoying and appreciating the novel or not, because
Oh,
we're
okay.
not used to this idea of fantasy. I mean, the novels that we have done in previous semesters were all very realistic. They were kind of rooted in realism. So obviously we have a departure here. So are you happy with this departure? Did you like the idea that there is this possibility that people can fly away from their cares and their problems by going to the past momentarily? Yeah, what do you think of that? This is my
Yeah,
question. Mm.
yeah. Of course, I really enjoy it. By the way, but I didn't notice your question. I
Good,
thought
that's
I'm
fine.
getting the story. Yeah.
That's fine. Thank you, Shaza.
Yeah.
Let's go all the way to Mariam because she wanted to say something else.
Uh, I actually found it very enjoyable, even though the themes and the ideas were a bit for a younger audience. But
Mm,
it is, I think, it's healthy and fun to sometimes indulge in these imaginary worlds and these fantasies. I think
You
it's.
wouldn't let me stop you, yeah, Mariam. You wouldn't consider it escapist literature?
I think it can be considered, uh,
Mm,
as you said.
yeah.
Um, Even though it was very simple and full of imaginary things, but I found it very enjoyable. For
Mm,
example, yeah, like the other side of truth was full of heavy themes and heavy ideas, but I
yes.
found it so much more enjoyable and much more, and the
Mm.
style of the
So
writer
if
was good.
and I'm saying that it's escapist literature. Escapist literature for whom? For the reader or for the characters involved, or both? What do you think?
For both of us, for both.
Yes. Mm,
And to walk with Tom and to explore the garden with him and to face all the things that he faced during his journey.
mm,
Yeah,
okay.
thank you.
Mariam, thank you. Thank you so much. Let's go to Zahra and then I'll give Maram some space to talk, and we also have the other. So Zahra, you're raising your hand. So obviously, yeah, that's from last time. Okay, let's go to Maram.
Yes, doctor. So your question was, are we enjoying the novel? Yes, I am. And the theme of fantasy is personally enjoyable for me, such as this book, also Harry Potter. I believe it is very interesting and beneficial for children as it
Mm.
helps them to broaden and widen their imagination. I think it also can be enjoyable for adults, such as myself.
Let me stop you here, Imran. How does it broaden the imagination of the, are you talking about broadening their imagination and setting their imagination free? Or are you
Yes,
talking about pieces and nuggets of wisdom that they come out with when they have finished the novel?
uh, yes, there is. No, no, no. I'm not talking about the wisdom at the
Mm,
end of the novel.
yes.
I am talking about it is involved in such novels, but I'm not highlighting it. I'm talking about yes, it can set their imagination free.
Mm,
Okay,
yeah,
and
yes.
yeah, I was saying also that it is enjoyable for also adults such as myself,
Mm,
because it does provide an escape from reality.
yeah, which is it the right attitude? I mean, obviously, it's I mean, the word escape in and of itself is negative, right? So do we? It's like saying, I mean, can we equate it with drugs that can take us momentarily to um, a false kind of world, and then we have to come back to reality with its, you know, horrible things? Do you think?
Um, no,
Cons
no, no,
yeah,
I don't
go.
think. I don't think so. It, I, it reminds me of happy times actually. Like for
Mm-hmm,
example, Harry Potter. Harry Potter. It is fantasy, such as Thomas
mm-hmm,
Midnight Garden. Um,
mm-hmm,
uh, when Harry Potter was released, um, uh, the movie, I was a child. I was 11 years old.
mm-hmm,
I did enjoy it a lot. And till this day, I still watch it again and again and again. When I watch it
mm-hmm,
again, it reminds me of my childhood. Now, I did
mm-hmm,
not live a happy childhood, unfortunately, but it reminds me when I was younger. And
mm-hmm.
it gives me a sense of um, this
So
young energy, young soul, you know?
yeah, but it's not about the memories because you're saying that the memories were not the best, right? But it
Yes,
reminds you of a stage of your life that you cherish very much, right?
yes,
Childhood and yeah.
yes, yeah,
Okay, nice. So it can, I mean, reliving. It's not about reliving the experiences. It's about remembering this very important stage of everyone's life. So it can
yes,
give you go back to those days in order to perhaps have some fuel so that you can face up to the present and to the future. So
yes, exactly.
let me ask you this question. Has your reality changed, ya Maram? I mean, are you better off now? This can be a private question, يعني. بس معلش, yeah.
Is
Are you better off? Alhamdulillah. Are the
um,
conditions better?
actually, to be honest, no one is happy or comfortable these days with everything that's
Oh.
happening in the world
Mm,
in general. Um,
mm,
um, but I would say yes, yes, I
mm.
am
Alhamdulillah.
better off now. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
asking, though.
yeah, okay. I mean, the idea of having absolute happiness is obviously a myth, right? So that's why I mean, we talk about qana'a and being happy with whatever you have, little or, right? So it's inside. I mean, happiness is a mindset. Let me put it this way: you can have people who have everything, material or otherwise, but they stay or they remain unhappy. So
Yes,
you need
I
to
mean,
change the
for me,
mindset.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
For me,
Mm.
happiness is being comfortable in your own skin. You know,
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, that's well
yes.
said, yeah, Maram, and I congratulate you on your choice of words. You
Thank you
never
so
fail to impress me, mashallah. The only thing that I take against you is that you write from the right, not from the left. That was amazing in a negative way when I picked
much.
up your script in order to mark it for your MTA. You
Okay.
write from the right. This is English, yeah, Maram, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why you did that, and I'm sure you you know that you should start from the left, not from the right. What happened? Were you
Um,
nervous or something?
yes, and when I have exams, I don't sleep very well. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
I don't sleep at all, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I feel so scared and nervous that I'm gonna fall asleep and never wake up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was a
That's
bit nervous.
no, take
Yeah,
it easy. I
I
mean, you're
didn't
doing
even
an
notice
excellent
that
job,
I'm writing from the.
mashallah. Yeah,
Sorry?
I mean, you're doing an excellent job. You don't have to worry that much. Yeah,
Thank you so much, doctor. It means
welcome.
a lot to me coming from
Yes.
you. I didn't even pay attention. I didn't even notice that I was writing from the right note.
I'm
Okay.
telling you, I don't know whether it happens with other teachers or not, but it did happen with me.
Thank you,
And I
doctor.
kept asking, is this the Maram that I know?
I
But
believe I'm the
mashallah,
only.
yeah, you're the only one who did this. But I met it a number of times in other courses when with other people. This, of course, does not negate the fact that you did very well and your answers were very good and everything in between. Thank you, Maram. Thank you so much.
Thank you, doctor.
Okay. So the novel is interesting, and obviously it resonates very well with lots of us, including myself. Again, the idea whether it takes when it takes us to the past or takes us somewhere away from perhaps the miserable and the drab here and the now that we are set with. I think on a number of levels, it provides the comfort and the solace that we sometimes need. Again, what is interesting is that it doesn't stay escapist literature because at the end, uh, Tom comes back to reality and he comes to terms with the fact that he cannot live or stay in fantasy for forever. This is perhaps one of the most interesting takeaways. You can momentarily um, go into a trance where you try to forget about the world that you live in and you fly with your imagination for as long as you can and as far as you can, but you still uh, um, manage to come back and grapple with the issues that you have in reality. So it's not totally escapist literature, and if it is escapist literature, it is escapist literature in a positive way. So there is this stress on the idea of fantasy in the novel. That the novel starts fantastic, but it never ends there, right? And this is again is very positive. Um, what makes it even more relatable would be the idea that um, sometimes we have this we encounter issues and challenges, and we in order to perhaps not avoid them, in order to momentarily relieve ourselves, we think of something um, interesting, perhaps from the past. We think of somebody interesting. It can be from the past, can be somebody who is far away. And it's during those brief moments that we feel, relaxed and happy. We get ourselves energized so that when we come back to reality and come back to our senses, we are more empowered and more enabled to face up to reality, and because we don't obviously live in the best of all possible worlds, and it's not honey and milk where we live, obviously. Barat wanted to say something. Go ahead, yeah, Barat.
Yeah, I just want to, if you let me, to comment on the escape element because I really love this point. Like the escape element in Tom's Midnight Garden revolves around Tom's maybe escape from his lonely reality into the magical world of the garden. Like initially feeling trapped in his aunt and uncle apartment, which lacks any outdoor space maybe for him to play or to enjoy. And Tom's discovery of the Midnight Garden provides him with an beautiful escaping. But the garden represents not just a physical escape, maybe, but also an escape through time. It allows Tom to transform the constraints of his everyday life and into a realm where he can explore, play, um, with, of course, had like into a deep friendship, despite the temporal barrier that separate them. Just I
Mm,
want to point this, yeah,
yeah,
this
that's
point.
interesting. Yeah, the philosopher, Barat, the philosopher. I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's
Very
okay.
nice. Yeah, very well put. Thank you so much. I like what you're saying, by the way. I'm not.
My pleasure. No
Mhm.
worries, you can kidding.
Doctor, I wanted just to
Yeah.
say something that I'm laughing because all of us are philosopher in our yani, major, because this is the literature. We have just to say our opinion according to our point of view. So
No,
that's why I'm laughing, not for Bara.
no, I'm not saying it in a negative way. I like what you're saying, and what is interesting about you guys as a group is that, mashallah, most of you are very well read. You have independent views. I mean, it's you don't. I mean, I have seen that in perhaps with other groups where the focus is on the exam, the focus is on memorizing stuff, and this is, alhamdulillah, not happening this time around. I'm so proud of you. This is what I'm trying to say. Let me remember where the focus is on the idea of fantasy, the idea of um, the fantastical world, and how it is used by the author or the writer. Let's establish those things that Tom is flying away from. We're saying that he is perhaps escaping a drab reality. So let's unpack this drab reality that he is in. So what are the things that he is escaping from? Things and people, obviously. So can we talk about that? Mariam, go ahead. MashaAllah, Mariam,
Uh,
you're so uh, what active today, and then for obvious reasons, you got your marks, and I think you're happy about them, right?
yes, Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
I kept over the years, I kept frustrating you, right? I
No,
don't
no,
give you the mark that you deserve, right?
absolutely not. No, Alhamdulillah. It was very good. Thank you. I believe first of all, he's escaping from measles, the physical element of the story. Perhaps he's also escaping from loneliness in his uncle and aunt's house and the boring realities of their life. They obviously don't have kids, therefore their life is very full of routine and very dull. I think he also is escaping from, um, you know,
From
he's
them, say it, from them.
from them. Yes,
That they are. I mean, remember those situations where he has those very serious disagreements with his
yes,
uncle.
He was thinking to
right?
himself, I
Yes.
wish they were cruel to me so I can escape from them physically. I can run to my mother and tell her that my uncle is very,
Look at the attitude of the uncle. He has
yes,
those.
he's very
Um,
philosophical with a little boy, which is not very
yes,
suitable.
he gets upset very easily. I mean, he
Yes,
has this short temper, right?
exactly, and has
So
very
these are
deep
things
conversation.
that
Yeah.
can scare, I mean, children, right?
Yes, exactly. And
Yes.
also the fact that he's not able to sleep, his mind can't get to rest, which doesn't allow him to go to sleep. I think he also runs away from this fact. That's it, I think,
Yeah,
for
excellent,
me.
mashallah. Thank you, Mariam. Thank you so much. Lamis, my friend, how are you?
Hi, doctor. I'm good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to say the same thing that Tom feels neglected because, like, his parents and his uncle and aunt are more caring of his brother since he's ill, and he feels powerless and neglected that he lives, like, in my opinion, like, he lives in an authority, like, he want to be free, so he escapes to a world where no one, like, tells him what to do, and he gets to experience and have his own adventures. And yeah, he doesn't, like, he feels lonely and bored since there's no one his age, and
Mm.
he feels lonely and neglected. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Thank you, Lamis. Thank you so much. Okay, so the idea of fantasy is both thematic and it is also technical. So, but the point of departure would be why would he go that far in his fantasies? Why? Uh, um, because of there's so many things that we're talking about. There's so many disappointments that he has in his life, and then the author provides him with a way or a device that can take him away momentarily from those things. And again, with the device, which is obviously the world of fantasy, you also have this didactic element, if you like, where um, going to the world of fantasy uh, is relieving and everything, but it also comes at a cost. The fact that you uh, need to realize that you cannot live there forever. There will come a time when you have to realize that uh, um, time is linear and it's not what it's not non-linear. Going back to the past is perhaps um like a chance of a lifetime that is not going to be repeated. You will have come back. You will have to come back to reality and live life as it should. So this awareness at the end, when he comes back, when the garden is no more, when Hattie is no more, is knowledge and level of maturity that he wouldn't have acquired had it not been for had it not been for the magical world and the fantasy that he was in. So knowledge is a scourge, like they say. The more you know, the more perhaps miserable that you are. Sometimes they say that ignorance is a bliss or a blessing, if you like, where the more you know, the more questions that you have, the more confusion you can also feel, or the more confused. So, but there has to be some people have to know, and some people have to perhaps um, know so that other people who don't know live the kind of life they live. So again, I'm stressing the fact that uh, um, this world of fantasy um, is very beneficial for Tom and obviously for the people that he represents and the readers. And um, again, we have a number of lessons and takeaways. And this is perhaps what the writer is trying to stress. Um, Maturity and growth, again, in a natural way, eventually. If we consider being linear, moving from the past to the present to the future, is the natural way of doing things. Diala, you're raising your hand.
Yes, doctor, I have a question. Can we consider Hattie also she is escaping from reality? Yani, if we have a question like this in exam, can we also consider Hattie that she is escaping also from reality, from
Uh,
facing the idea that she is getting older?
yeah, it was, yeah, but not, the stress was obviously not on Hattie to the extent that I felt, and I shared this feeling with you last time, and I said that she was perhaps used or abused for that matter. From a feminist perspective, Hattie is meant to provide the material and the background and the playmateness that Tom needed so that we can talk about Tom and what he learned. Obviously, remember that whether we are aware of it or not, towards the end of the novel, when the novel ended, we only spoke about what uh, uh, um, what Tom realized and what he didn't, and the level of maturity that he reached. It was all about Tom and the lessons that he learned. So nothing was about Hattie. And obviously, this is bias, male bias, obviously. And we were made to feel this way by the author. Unfortunately, the author is a woman, but she's part of this kind of male-dominated world that we have been living in for so long. So Hattie, yeah, Hattie also went to the past in order to not to the past as much as it is went to her old self as a child so that she can escape also those sad memories, the fact that she lost her parents at one point, and then as a mother she lost her kids in, I think, in the World War. So but this was not stressed enough in my opinion and view. Lamis, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say my opinion on this. I
Yes.
feel Hattie isn't really aware she's in a time shifted uh, position. She's more likely like living her present, just sharing her experience and thoughts, and like enjoying the presence of Tom. Unlike Tom, like he's aware of the time shifting since he keeps going back and forth to the past and
And my
change.
question, I'm sorry يا لميس to cut you off. أنا خضيتك أنا عارف.
That's okay.
I also have a problem. Why do we have, well, why don't we have this reverse or reversed scenario where Tom is Hattie and Hattie is Tom, where the one who is um, having those experiences is Hattie, and you have Tom waiting for her in the garden in order to take her to the past, and they play together. Are you getting my point?
Not really.
I'm saying that
Maybe you
think
mean
of
a
the
flashback or something?
no, I mean that instead of having who is the protagonist? Is it Hattie or Tom?
Tom,
Tom.
you means Dr.
Tom.
Tom.
Yes.
Roll a switch or switch
Yeah.
rolling between
Yes.
Hattie
If
and
yeah, if the protagonist is Hattie, and she is the one who is taken away from her other sister or brother because her other brother or sister contracted a measles, and then she is the one who goes and lives with her aunt. And are you getting the scenario?
Yeah.
Why do we have Tom and not Hattie? This is the question that I keep asking myself. And is it because we have this male agenda? Is the author a misogynist in spite of the fact that she is a woman herself?
Yes, absolutely.
Or am I carrying it to extremes like I always do?
No,
Maybe
Doctor, can
because
I?
Patty isn't really a young person, like she's living in the past, which means she's old. But Tom is a young boy, so it
I mean, we
makes the
can, I mean,
children
Hattie
relate
can
more.
also, I mean, she can be portrayed as, yeah, exactly like Tom.
Hmm.
Maybe, Doctor, the plot will be not attractive for us as a reader because
Why
it,
not?
yeah, because Hattie, we, as a reader, we don't have. Do you remember your question in the first lecture when you ask us who wants to travel with you to the past, who wants to travel with you to the future? So maybe the plot will be more attractive for a reader if we will know more about Tom, but Hattie, she want to go to the past, so it's not attractive for us. Maybe.
Okay, we still have space to, so how you raising your hand, or is it,
Yes, I
hmm,
feel maybe if the Hati is the protagonist in this story, uh, we, maybe they put Tom the protagonist because they want this mysterious vibe in the story. Because maybe if Hati was the one who's the hero in the story, we will know the actual end. Maybe.
we're trained, don't you think that we're trained to see males, whether they are young or old, as protagonists? And it has become perhaps entrenched within us, even so that when we question that, we feel that the question is irrelevant. Why is he saying this? Because it's so deep seated in us. The most of the protagonists that we hear of are men, not women.
May I say something?
Yes, say something.
Yes, maybe
Okay.
some.
You are not taking it to the extreme. This is how it has been for ages. The boy, the male, he is out in the world. He is working. He is providing. He's exploring. He is like always a superhero. Now, there's some sense of that. It is true. I mean, yes, not some. Um, uh, Most males, they do provide for their family, they bring food to the table, da 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 da. But none of them highlights on the role that the mother or the female does in her household. I mean, without the female part, there would be no home. So no, you
Now,
cannot
this
take
is
it.
what we're made to think, right? This is perhaps a mindset that we need to change. I mean, the idea that women are as capable as men are, obviously.
Exactly.
That reminds me of a very interesting article. I don't remember the name of the. This is perhaps part of the extra reading that we're doing in the course, and in the article, the writer is kind of tracing um, the history of children's literature, and he is also focusing on the idea um, of what kind of characters we have, and his point of departure is that so children's literature is about things that we already know. We know the characters, we know what kind of behavior they have, we know what kind of reactions they give, we know the backgrounds, and I encourage you to read the article. If you can give me like less than a minute, let me check where it is, and I'm going to share it on the WhatsApp group. Just give me a second. Um, I think Lemise is raising her hand. Go ahead, yeah, Lemise.
No, doctor, I forgot to put it down.
Okay. So I'm looking for the this very interesting article. Mm, if it's going to take forever to find, I'm going to. No, it's not here, and I think I'll share it with you today, inshallah. I have it, and you guys have it. Yeah, Bara, you're raising your hand.
Yeah, I just want to say that why the protagonists most of the time in English literature are males. In my opinion, I think literature often mirrors the social context in which it's produced, and historically, many societies were parity hierarchical, but we can say like placing men in dominant roles in public and private spheres. The historical context influence, especially when we look at Europe or, for example, England in the past.
يعني ايه كلامك كبير ده. عاوز تفرق ايه يا براء.
This
Mm,
literature mirrors the
mm,
historical context or the social
yeah.
context at the time.
Mm, mm,
So it's okay to see many of the protagonists are males, not females.
mm. Which is not necessarily correct, right?
Yeah, because in the modern age, they are trying to put, the female figure more comparing to the
Mm,
past.
yes. Mm, okay. Maram?
Yes, doctor. What my friend has said, it is true. It reflects the social values and etc. The stereotypical outlook on males and females, it's international, not just in Europe and Britain and etc. It is international. Now, in this modern day, yes,
What do you
um,
mean by international? You mean universal, right?
yes, sorry, yes,
Oh,
universal, yes.
that's fine. Okay, so when I talk about something universal, I mean I'm talking about time and space. When I talk about something international, I may be meaning only space, not time. So,
Okay.
yeah, it would make sense if we say that it is a universal phenomenon, but we don't necessarily agree with it, right? Is that what you're trying to say, Amaram? Did I confuse you or something? Yeah, I'm always like this. Um, anyway, that's interesting.
Yes,
Um, yeah, go ahead, yeah, Amaram.
okay. But nowadays, um, uh, females or women in general, they are allowed to work and to have jobs, and they are included more in society, etc., etc. To the point, yeah, yeah, it is now presented more negative. Yeah, this is not what we want. Like females are the one who has um, um, the control. Um, uh, she is expected to provide 50-50. Um, um, no, that's not what we want. We just want more appreciation. This is my opinion. We just want to be appreciated more. We don't want it 50-50. I don't believe in equality between men and women. No, 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 no.
I
Um,
I do believe in equality. I mean, uh,
I,
um,
I, I would like to more appreciation for most women. I believe in
I mean,
injustice.
yeah,
Be
no,
treated correctly.
for people to go that far, and sorry to be using harsh terms, for people to uh, I don't know. I wouldn't say big for appreciation. It's not the right thing to do. I mean, something is wrong, obviously. For us to be reduced to that situation and state where all we are expecting is appreciation or mere appreciation for that matter. I think something is wrong. Let's go to Lamis because she's raising
Yes,
her hand.
Arthur.
You're
I
raising your
feel
hand.
like, yes, usually when male protagonists are there, it's more of an adventurous story or just a
Mm,
normal story. They're not fighting any stereotypes or gender roles. But female protagonists' stories
mm,
are most like they're trying to run away from the male dominance, and there are bigger and larger stories like they're fighting independency or
yes,
fighting to be domestic. So this
yes,
story it fits the boy's character because it's nothing big, like it's not fighting anything. It's just an
mm,
adventurous story.
yeah, that's yeah, true. But again, and then I'm talking about this amount of takeaways that we are made to think of, and they are presented through the character of a male. My question is, why would a male um, give us, or the situations that this male go through, give us those? Or can't a girl or a woman, for that matter, do that? This was my question. Perhaps I haven't read all the literature of the world. Perhaps in other places and in other time periods, women or girls are presented as protagonists. We need to check and see. Again, um, the novel is also about human connections or connection. I wouldn't use S for it. And we're talking about human connection because connections is very commercial. When people go to LinkedIn and they try to create or make connections, I mean, getting to know this or that guy for obviously business reasons. So what we're talking about here is human connection minus the S, which means that we're talking about relationships that are pure, that are non-white, that doesn't have an, an agendas to them. You don't know, I don't know Lemise because at one point Lemise may have a company and she may hire me, or I have a company and I may hire. No, we're talking about something bigger than that, human connection and human relationships. So this is part of what is happening in the novel, that um, we're talking about human connection and how human connect and establishing human connection can help us um, perhaps heal if we have issues and problems, uh, can empower us, can uh, help us see reality in a different light, can give us the solace and the fuel that we need so that we can face up to reality. So, who is responsible for that? When we talk about human connection, would we talk about negative examples like the aunt and the uncle, or would we talk about this very deep bond between Peter and Tom, the two brothers, between Tom and Hattie? Who do you think um, give us this feel of human connection and the good things that come out of it? What do you think? Would you like me to rephrase what I said? We're saying at the core of the novel, there is this feel of human connection, that human connection is being built. Human relationships are being built. Um, and they help people uh, um, in more ways um, than one. Um, and my question is about those in the novel who are responsible for this, for us as readers, realizing that establishing good human relationships can help us live a different type of life, accept perhaps things that we wouldn't otherwise accept, he- heal sometimes. Mariam, go ahead.
I believe that during the novel, Tom built his relationships on grounds of whether we share the same interests or not. For instance, with Hattie and Peter, but his uncle, for instance, his uncle Alan and Aunt Gwen weren't necessarily mean to him or weren't necessarily bad to him, but he just couldn't find the connection with them because they did not share the same interest and the same imagination with him. That's what I
Is it
think.
a generation gap that we're having? Normally, you have this chronic generation gap where the old generation is not happy with the young generation, and the young generation does not feel comfortable with old generation members around. What do you
Yes,
think?
I
Hmm.
think it can be said like that, and I think they don't have a common a common ground or something that they can share and they can have fun together. That's why his human connection with them is not as strong, for instance, as with Peter, because he shares all his uh, imaginations, even though he was very far away from him, but he felt interested in what he was sending to him through the letters and stuff like that. That's why, like in summary, I'm sorry that I talked
That's
so much.
fine. That's fine. Go
And
on.
some Tom is building his relationships on whether he enjoys being with that human or not, not with anything. Not he doesn't consider if this person would be beneficial for him or not, or he's a positive influence to him or not. That's it.
Okay. So it's a disinterested kind of relationship, away from any kind of expected gains. You don't befriend somebody for the benefits and the prospects that will come out of it, right? It's a pure kind of connection relationship,
Yes,
right?
especially because he's a little boy. Yeah.
Yes. Lamis,
Yes,
because
doctor.
you're raising your hands.
Yeah, the human connection between Tom and Hattie, like maybe made Tom realize more that even if there's an age difference, like between him and his parents or his uncle and aunt, he still has like more appreciation. He's now emotionally intelligent to understand that he also has to appreciate the bad and good times, since there will come a time for a goodbye. So I think it's a positive human connection because it affected him in a good way. It doesn't necessarily show in the novel, but also it must affect him in a good way to appreciate more, have more appreciation towards his circumstance.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't agree more. Yeah, Lamis, thank you so much. Diala?
Yes, doctor, I will not add more for my colleagues, but maybe the lack of understanding between the adults, Tom's life, including his aunt and his uncle, they are unable to understand or address what he needs. Also, maybe the communication gaps, both Tom and Hattie, they are just struggling with the communication issue, their feelings and their desires to the adults around them, leading them to search for the sense of being unheard, because the adults they don't want to hear them. So this kind of searching to someone to hear them or just to understand their needs maybe was one reason of these kinds of communications. That's it. And maybe also Hattie, maybe, I don't know, but I feel in a part of the novel that there was focusing on Hattie's circumstances, that she lose her family, and the isolations themes that focus on that, the lose of her family and the change in her life over the time as a child. This was one of the reasons that she wants someone to talk to like Tom.
Yeah, it's about, having this kind of solidarity, and people um, have solidarity with other people if they go through the same experience. So the experience of loss is there, whether we're talking about Tom and of course Hattie. Perhaps Hattie has more losses than Tom, right? But it's this um feeling of appreciation for the pain that other people feel because you have gone through them, that would kind of create this kind of bond and this kind of connection that we're talking about. So if Hattie didn't have her share or her fair share of pain, the bond wouldn't have been created with Tom. Um, Bara, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I would love to bring Tom and Hattie as an example of the human connection. I mean, the bond between them, the relationship develops slowly. They are sharing secrets, adventures, and a form of deep emotional connection that transcends time and space. Like as Tom visits the garden at night, he witnesses Hattie growing older while he remains at the same age, highlighting the fleeting nature of time and the bittersweet beauty of their friendship. So they are both an example of the human connection, the
Yes.
novel.
In its positive aspects, the idea of empowering, the idea of giving the comfort and
Exactly.
the solace that the other side needs, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
of course,
exactly.
we have examples of failures or failure in communication and establishing this kind of bond. And in this case, we would have in mind people like the uncle and the aunt, and how intolerant they were in dealing with Tom. Obviously, they don't, as perhaps members of an older generation, they don't quite appreciate what children go through, what
Yeah,
their
that's why he
needs
felt
are.
unwanted and important as a person, as an
Yeah,
individual.
and remember, we didn't hear that those guys have kids. And this is perhaps another problem, the fact that because they because they don't have
They don't
kids,
know the exact way to
how
deal
it
maybe with
feels, yeah,
kids.
how it feels to
Yeah,
have a kid around, and the crazy stuff that kids are engaged in, right? We as parents, because we have kids, we have this sense and this feeling that perhaps what Tom is going through is a stage, it's just another stage. So we appreciate, we don't run into kind of hasty conclusions about what kind of boy he is. So perhaps that can be one big reason why he is not bonding with them, and they are not bonding with them, right? Um,
yeah, just struggling.
yes. So it's this failure of understanding and appreciation that we have at certain points in the novel. Um, Lovely. Let's move on. So you don't believe, like me, that children and adults get along well in the novel. I don't believe that children and adults are getting on well with each other, or they don't get along very well, right? And we have spoken about that. But obviously, children get along with other children, and this has been very clear. If we talk about the bond between Peter and Tom, that was also very clear if we talk about the relationship between Hattie and uh, Tom. So bonding is also, like I said, has this healing effect. So through bonding and through bonding and innocent bonding, bonding that is away from any material gain, can help people heal if they have issues and problems. It can help them cope with reality. Um, it can help them start afresh if they fail and falter at one point. It's through bonding and establishing those healthy human relationships that you can rise again and can do what you cannot or you couldn't do in other circumstances. So it's human connection that we're talking about. It's whether people are getting along with each other, and we have said that adults and children obviously don't meet. Um, and this is very clear in the relationship between the Ketsons, I mean the uncle and the aunt, and Tom. The kind of answers they provide or they don't provide. I mean, he has obviously all types of questions. So we have this break in generational continuity, like we said, the fact that we have those generational gaps. Um, Again, having this failed kind of connection would uh, um, kind of push and prompt Tom to think of something else, to think of breaking away from their grips and go somewhere else, even momentarily and even in his imagination. Um, the kind of debates and questions that they were engaged in are so numerous and so uh, uh, many in the novel. Remember, when he was asking them about time and their concept of time and its linearity, um, and the kind of reactions that they would make every time he asks a strange question, a strange and a weird question from their own perspective. Um, and the kind of reaction that the Uncle Alan normally has. He gets upset, very, he goes into a fit of temper and he gets angry, right? And of course, the aunt feels for the uncle, and she starts to also have her own um bout of anger herself. She gets angry with Tom, and um, on the other hand, you have the bond between Hattie and Tom, and their evolving friendship, and it's very significant and it's very revealing in the novel, and we see it on different levels and in so many situations. Again, the idea that she's part of the garden, like I said the other day, what happens if the garden was empty? So the garden can be paradise-like, but it doesn't have people in it, obviously. It wouldn't be, um, you wouldn't appreciate it the way you appreciate it if it has people in it, okay? Because with people, you communicate your thoughts, you share your your concerns and fears, what you like and what you don't like, even your skepticism if you're not, if you're confused about something, if you have suspicions and everything. So Hattie was there, which was good news. Over time, they were developed this kind of friendship, and through this friendship, Tom will be able to explore life more, and he's going to be keenly interested in the garden, uh, uh, and the history of the place. So it's this is all the influence and the impact of good friendship, which he forged with Hattie, of course. So Hattie is so significant because she, with her, lies this bridge. She could create this bridge between the past and the present, and that would provide Tom with valuable life lessons and a deeper understanding of himself and the world around. Again, that needed a framework, and that framework, of course, was this fantastic world with its agents and tools, and the tools and the agents are, of course, the garden itself. So, like I said, the novel starts with reality, but it doesn't end there. You have uh, fantasy, and then you come back to reality, because this is what perhaps the author is trying to stress. You cannot escape reality. You can momentarily uh, um, go away from it for a while, but you will always remember that you have to come back and I mean, and live in reality. Um, Sometimes it's difficult for a writer to also, because we're adults. I mean, we said at one point that children's literature is no more about and for children. The starting point can be children, but it obviously there is more to children's literature than children, because we as adults can um, consume it, can read it, and we can get the same amount of messages. So that was a challenge for the author to convince us that what is happening is believable, that what is happening is very serious, and something positive and something beneficial will come out of it. So obviously, and in this novel, the fantastic complements the realistic. It's only through those fantastic bouts and rounds that Tom is um, Tom at the end, somebody who is mature mentally, who realizes that um, this is life. Life is about growth. Life is about maturity. Life is linear, and at one point, even death is unescapable. You cannot escape old age and all those kinds of things. So, uh, um, the novel is meant to tell people that the real and reality is better understood and appreciated, um, sometimes through the fantastic. Tom and Hattie transcended their lamentable reality through the fantastic. So, did they stay there forever? No, obviously. they came back. They could momentarily overcome their limitations and their lack of freedom and their boredom, but they learned a lesson or two, and they came back perhaps more energized, more educated, more illuminated, if you like. And that couldn't have happened without this element of fantasy in the novel, with its, of course, tools, the garden, and going back to the past. And that would bring us to a very interesting quote by one of the critics or the scholars. His name is Jack Zipes. And he believes that we have always tried to make sense of the world through fantasy, not through reason. He believes that reason matters, it is true, but fantasy matters more.
Lovely.
So, yeah, and we happen to agree with what he is saying, obviously. So, reason is important. Reason means, being realistic, being rooted in reality. Yeah, he says that this is important and that it matters, of course, but he also says that fantasy is equally important. And this is what we have been proving and trying to prove all through, right? Mm.
Could
So,
you please,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, could you please repeat the quote?
Yeah, absolutely. So, reason matters, but fantasy matters more. It's as simple as this.
Mhm.
So we have, this is perhaps my rephrasing, that we have always tried to make sense of the world through fantasy, not through reason. But it is true that reason matters, but fantasy matters more, right?
Yes,
Um, so it's about this idea that we as human beings have this natural tendency to use fantasy as a means to understand and interpret the world around us. Um, this is quite true, and this is what we have seen time and again in the novel. It's only when Tom engaged in this kind of fantastic world in the magical garden that he started to gain insights into life, into its intricacies, the good and the bad, and he is totally um reformed and renewed and energized at the end, accepting what he didn't accept at the beginning, coming to terms with things that he uh, thought he would never uh, agree with. So he is a totally changed individual at the end, and it's all because um, fantasy matters. Um, I'll stop on this note, and I'll continue this tomorrow, inshallah. We meet tomorrow, right? And tomorrow will be our last on Tom's Midnight Garden, and we're going to schedule a number of revision classes, inshallah. We have room, perhaps 5 more minutes for reflections on the MTA. So do you have anything to share with me about the MTA? I have already marked your MTAs, and then the marks are all released on SIS. Yes, go ahead, yeah, Maram. Somebody asked me about feedback, which I'm going to give. I'm going to give a generic and general feedback, and then there can always be room for individual feedback if certain people are not very unclear as why they got what they got. Yeah, Maram, go ahead.
Yes, doctor. I don't want to say anything about the MTA. I just want to tell you thank you. You are the only doctor so far, uh, and you are. This is the last course for me that actually starts a conversation and discussion with us. So I just wanted to say thank you so much.
Thank you, Maram. It's not that other people are not engaged in conversation. It's only that the course itself allows you, the material itself allows you to do so. So it's
And
my,
I
it's perhaps it's my good fortune that I'm teaching this course because it gives me the scope to ask questions, to engage in conversations and debates with you. So it's not about the teacher as much as it is about the material. The material this time around is very thought provoking. It stimulates me, and I kind of carry this stimulation over to you. And the end result is that, Alhamdulillah, we are all engaged in a very healthy conversation about the course and about the things that are outside the course. Thank you,
yes,
Maram. Yeah, go on.
I also see what you post on Facebook. I see that you are really interested in poetry. Um, uh, what you posted were really interesting. I have read them.
Yeah, I'm a writer, yani, for your own information. I write in Arabic and in English, but life, um, what do they say? They say life gets in the way. I mean, you cannot. I mean, I'm not a full-time writer, but I'm a full-time teacher. But that's why I don't have enough time to kind of share my reflections on things. Hopefully, when I reach 60, I will have the time to do more, yani, on the writing level of things because I like writing so much.
Me too. I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
I believe
That's
other
fine.
students have questions. Yes, I am really interested in writing as well. I write some like poems in. I don't know if I can call them poems. Maybe just take a freestyling in English. Can I send you something?
Of course, we can always share. When they started blogging, I was one of the very few people who started blogging. This was way back 2005 or something, when blogging was something unheard of. I have a weblog, yani, from that time, and I still have it, but I don't write new, and perhaps we can share it with everybody. And if you guys, if other people have a weblog or something that you would like us to kind of read and perhaps talk about, yeah, I would be more than glad. We can have that on the WhatsApp group. If you, I'll share my weblog link, and you can also respond in kind, like they say. And if you would like to share with us what you write, that would be lovely, of course. طبعا. It would be my pleasure, ya Maram, to read what you are writing.
Okay, thank you so much, doctor.
You're welcome. طيب. Let's go back to the original question. I think people are happy about the marks. Uh, um, the only observation that I have is that excellent students tend not to write um, too much. It's not that I want them to write too much, but I want them to write moderately. They write short answers. And this is not something that I don't feel happy about because they leave a lot unanswered. And I have to depend on my uh, uh, knowledge of them. I know that they have more, but I feel so sad that some of you, excellent as you are, writing not too little, of course, because writing too little would be a problem, but you don't write as much as the question requires and wants. I mean, you have the potential, you have the ability, linguistic and mental and everything in between. Right, I would like you to write. Leave something, leave us a legacy. Sometimes with the answer is excellent by an excellent student that we are all proud of. I take screenshots of the answer because it's a model answer, language and substance and everything. And I tell people, look, we have this kind of caliber, we have these kinds of students. You are excellent and you need to show and demonstrate it, ya Jama'ah. Zahra, go ahead.
Oh, yes, doctor.
Yeah, hi.
I would like to ask for feedback about my grade because I was not happy about it at all.
Mm,
I feel
I'll,
like
I'll,
I failed myself. I was expecting more.
I don't remember how much I gave you.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can give you
Yeah, maybe
feedback.
can I like contact you on the WhatsApp if that's
Yes,
possible? Yeah, alright.
yes. Okay,
Inshallah, doctor. Thank you.
okay. You're welcome. Anybody else?
Yes, me, doctor.
Yes.
If you could give me a feedback.
Okay. First of all, there is no such thing as a feedback or feedbacks because feedback is not countable. You don't use a with it and you don't use s with it. This is the first feedback that I give you
Okay.
that you have language problems, Ines. Um, I'll check and get back to you. No, no problem.
Okay.
Lemis.
Yes, doctor. Usually in essay questions, no one gives the full mark, but can I know like what is the range of a good mark, like expressing the essay?
Um, in your case, because I had to go back to your paper because there was this error, which obviously it's a shared error. It's not me that is totally responsible for it. You are also to claim for it because your answers, your this category that I was referring to in perhaps 4 minutes ago about your 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 too concise. You are your English is excellent, and your I mean I know that you are capable or of things, but your answers are a little bit short here, Lamis. You need to expand on the ideas.
Yeah.
You need to have more comprehensive answers than that.
I want to write more and I want to give
Mm,
more ideas, but for example, the short essay, the short
mm.
answer is like 100 or 50 words. So I don't know if I can exceed the limit. So I always
Yeah,
try to summarize what I want to say.
no, but I mean, there shouldn't be any limit for, um, for a comprehensive answer.
Mm,
And what I see is not a very comprehensive. Even if it's a short answer, you need to expand on the idea. So giving me a very small paragraph wouldn't obviously be as comprehensive as it should. So you need to write. Don't worry about the amount of words because, um, like I said, I mean you're one of the most what eloquent students in terms of your turn of phrase. It's excellent, and and you have ideas. I think, mashallah, you have a brilliant mind, and
thank you, doctor.
you owe it to us to write more.
Inshallah, in the exam I'll do better. Thank you, doctor,
Inshallah,
for your
you are.
feedback.
You are. Okay. Anybody else before we call it a day? Okay. So I'll take it that this is all the questions that you may have. Thank you so much for this lovely meeting, and I'll see you. Is it tomorrow that we're, yeah, it's tomorrow, right?
Yeah, right.
So we're meeting tomorrow. Like I said, we're finishing off Tom's Midnight Garden, and then we agree on a number of revision classes. Until then, I wish you all the best. Salam alaikum.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.